Hi, Leo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for September of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, Leo, if this is your sun sign and you missed your annual birthday reading this year, it's not too late to get a ton of benefit from getting that reading and starting your year off right. If you want that reading, you can find a link for it in the text that comes with this video. You'll also find that there may be some questions that are popping up for you around finance based on this horoscope, and you can get those answered in the reading as well. Well, let's take a look at the chart because I want to begin with Juno, this relationship retrospection that she has going on while traveling retrograde through Pisces continues. It seems really long to me. I don't know about you. It's not going to be done until next month, but this month there is an important milestone that happens during it. And that occurs on September 7th when Juno appears opposite to the sun. This is a day I call Commitment Clarity Day. And I call it that because perspective comes and insights may land on your head as you go through this process of introspecting and retrospecting and ruminating on your relationships of duration, meaning particularly like if you're married or if you have a long-term committed partnership, and it can be a business partnership. And this can also speak to your relationships with clients that you may see through your business, especially if those are relationships that last for some years. So Juno in Pisces has been having us all reevaluating these kinds of relationships of duration through the filter of how well does this relationship mesh with my spiritual value system? And so insights may come to you and clarity and some reflection and mirroring too around September 7th. And if you want to find out more about this Juno retrograde, definitely visit our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, and check out the year of 2022 news playlist because the Juno video is there. Julia, what's up for the Leos of the world regarding Mercury, Venus, and Mars this month?
Well, good question, Jamie. Hey, Leo. Let's start with Mercury because Mercury has a lot going on this month. I mean, he's going to be in 2 different houses of yours. He's also going retrograde. So let's break down Mercury a little bit piece by piece. So at the very beginning of the month, Mercury starts in your 3rd house. Mercury really loves to be in the 3rd house because there's so much overlapping of what Mercury symbolizes and what the 3rd house does. They both have to deal with communication. They can both have a lot in common with like technology in our lives. The 3rd house is also a travel house, and Mercury is a travel planet. So this might be a time where you're really kind of busy, kind of going on lots of little trips out of the house, maybe around your neighborhood with Mercury in the 3rd. You might also take some weekend trips during this time. You know, the 3rd house kind of represents all the places we travel to if we're not getting on a plane and going on some international trip. So there could be some sort of getting out of the house and going about town and doing things, maybe running errands. The 3rd house also represents your siblings too. So they might become, you might find yourself socializing with them a lot more as well. Also neighbors. Now on the 10th, Mercury goes retrograde in this house. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it means that from our perspective from Earth, Mercury is moving backwards in the sky. And this is all happening in the third house, which means that this might be a time of miscommunications, especially with your siblings or your neighbors, people from your local community as well. This can also be a time where the technology in your life is revolting against you, maybe problems with your phone, maybe problems with your computer, maybe Zoom isn't working, all that kind of stuff could really hit home. And then the 22nd is a very important day to remember because it's when Mercury is exactly conjoined the sun. And we call that Lesser Epiphany Day. And Epiphany Day essentially is when Mercury is conjoined the sun. It tends to happen, within the greater Mercury retrograde cycles. And it can be a time of insights and revelations and connections. So since this is all happening in the third house, you might get some insights into, for example, if you're working on a writing project, the third house rules writing, and so does Mercury. This could be a time of, making some, having some aha moments about that. It could also be a time of insights into the miscommunications you've been having lately. And since the third house is a travel house, maybe you're making some connections about travel that you want to do at some point as well. Now, on September 23rd, so about the next day, Mercury moves back into your second house. This is the house of your finances. This is the house of your possessions. And Mercury retrograde here might mean that you are reviewing or rethinking your finances and possessions in some way. Maybe you're going over your money. Maybe you get some surprise bills that pop up that you're like, oh, now I have to rebudget the month, for example. This is also the house of possessions. So you might be very preoccupied with the stuff you own. Maybe you're thinking of buying something new. Maybe you're thinking of selling something. And then this whole retrograde cycle is going to end on October 2nd. So stay tuned to our next month's videos where we'll talk about what that will feel like. Now, Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationship, on September 4th enters your second house. So Venus is bringing some pleasure, some harmony, and a little luck into the material sphere of your life. The second house is naturally ruled by Taurus, which is a very sensual sign. Venus loves being in the second house for that reason. So this can be a very sensual period in your life where you just want to indulge yourself. You're just going to be interested in either shopping or getting a massage or eating, all those things, that you'll be basically be getting the most pleasure through your senses this month with Venus in your second house. And on September 30th, Venus is going to enter Libra into your third house. And since that happens at the very last day or two of this month, we'll really cover it in next month's video. Now, Mars has some interesting things coming up. Mars is slowing down in the sky this month because next month he's going to go retrograde. But he's really going to spend a lot of time hanging out in your 11th house. He's in here this month. He'll go retrograde next month in this house and just kind of stay in this house for a number of months. With Mars moving into the 11th house this month, the 11th house is the house of friends. It's the house of your social groups. That includes recovery programs, people you play games with, any social circles that you have. And the 11th house rules your long-term goals. It's traditionally known as the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So that, the goals you have, not what you're going to have for lunch later in the day, but more like what takes a number of years to kind of realize and come to fruition. Now, Mars is a planet. Wherever we have him, we usually expend a lot of energy. There usually is a lot of activity in our lives. But Mars can be very conflict prone too. So he can bring some frustrations along the way. So this could be a time period where, maybe you're driven to socialize, driven to kind of spend time with your friends. But there could also be frustrations that crop up in your friendship circles with Mars in the 11th house. Mars is a very competitive planet. So maybe people are being competitive with one another. Maybe some groups in your life are kind of thwarting your willpower a little bit for some reason. Mars can be our willpower. And since the 11th house rules our long-term goals, there could be some frustrations in pursuing those goals. So definitely tune in next month to hear what a Mars retrograde cycle is really going to sound like in this house too.
Mhm. Well, I have two moons to tell you about and a seasonal change. We begin with the full moon in Pisces, which happens in your eighth house of intimacy, also shared finances. This is a house of credit and debt. It's about the money that you share with a spouse, or that you've borrowed, or that you've lent. And the moon is full there, being opposite the sun. And it really connects very much with this Juno relationship retrospection period, and brings in a high and strong emotion into that process. So as you undergo the relationship retrospection, this day, September 10th, and a couple of days surrounding it, are a time when there may be high emotions, particularly as you feel into how much do I trust my partner? Do I trust them completely? Do I trust them in black and white? And maybe I need to see that more in shades of gray in between. And how does the spirit to spirit connection between us play out in this relationship? Because you can have a spiritual connection even to somebody that you work with. You can feel like that sense of, that the work that you're doing together has an eternal impact, not just a material one. And that's a pretty good feeling, if you ask me. So the next thing I want to tell you about is the fact that the sun is going to leave Virgo, is going to move on into Libra. And it does that right around here, September 23rd, moving on into your third house. And wherever the sun goes, we want to shine the spotlight of the sunlight of our high quality attention, which is life-giving and helps things to thrive in that area. This is the house of communication, also the house of learning, and your immediate environment, these things that Julia was telling you about a little while ago. So the sun enters this house just as Mercury is retrograding out of it. And so the sun begins to bring some high quality attention to this area that Mercury's been kind of muddling up. Now, this sun will soon be joined by the moon right here, as the moon shows up and conjuncts the sun. And this is a new moon right here. Always a good time for planting seeds of new beginnings. And we've named this moon Calculated Diplomacy versus Boundless Enthusiasm, because of the way that it opposes this Jupiter up here in the ninth house. Now, Jupiter loves to be in the ninth house, and so it's pulling very strongly for you to expand your mind, for you to broaden yourself in some way, perhaps by traveling. And it could be a very good year for traveling, as Jupiter spends the year moving along through your ninth house. But don't let that pull you away too hard from your local environment and from the little things that you need to be doing every day and paying attention to, and from this new moon's process of planting seeds in your immediate locale to make your relationships with the people right around you, such as your neighbors or your siblings if you're young, to make those a lot better, which is a really great use of this new moon. Well, that's what we have for you today, Leo. You can always find your horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscope tab. And if you wanted that belated birthday reading, Julian or I would be happy to see you, and you can find us in the readings tab. And if you want to know more about this month's new and full moon, then you can check out the forecast page and you'll find that there. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.